Welcome to the Mindful Mondays podcast, weekly reflections and meditations to start your week right. With your host, author, meditator, and founder of Mind, Body and Spirit Entrepreneur, Rachel Thompson.
Good morning, meditators, and welcome back to Mindful Mondays podcast. Even though it is not Monday, we are going strong with our 21-day mindfulness challenge. I hope that you have become more mindful of the compassion you have for yourself and the compassion that you have for other people. Today we're getting into a topic that's a little lighter. We started out a little heavy, but I think you are really going to enjoy today's topic because it is something that we are all searching for, every single one of us, even if we don't realize it. And that is happiness. When was the last time you thought about what truly makes you happy? In addition, have you ever asked yourself why these are sources of your happiness? And how often do you actually experience happiness in your life? Through mindfulness, you are able to explore what exactly makes you happy, and ideally, you're going to learn how to increase overall happiness. Today might be actually very eye-opening whenever you examine how much of your day is spent in a state of unhappiness. Now, there are 3 activities today. The first one is to observe how often you feel happy and what you were doing when you experienced this happiness. So that should be fun, hopefully. Second, pay attention to what activities cause unhappiness and be mindful of your thoughts surrounding those situations. And third, take some time to ponder what makes you happy and ask yourself, why? Mindfully explore what needs are being met and what exactly causes this experienced happiness. And for example, if gardening leads to happiness, perhaps this happiness comes because your mind is focused on that one task and you're enjoying being out in nature. So it's not necessarily the gardening that makes you happy, but it's focusing on a task you enjoy and then being out in the dirt and the plants and experiencing all that goodness. The more you're able to become aware of what exactly increases your happiness, the more you can add in similar activities. So it might be helpful to write everything down. By now, you might be sick of hearing me talk about journaling, but I really am a strong proponent of it. And hopefully you've started to at least make notes. Maybe it's not a journal, but you're putting it in your phone or you're doing something so that you can take all this mindful observation and use it to help better the rest of your life. But today especially, if you write these things down, you're going to be able to easily spot patterns you were unaware of prior to today. So I want to go over the 3 activities again for you. Number 1, you want to observe how often you feel happy and what you were doing when you experience this happiness. It could be feeling happy doing certain projects at work, different hobbies whenever you get home from work. Maybe it is cooking for your family or watching your kids play sports or spending time with loved ones or your husband or your wife. Just make note of all those situations. So this mindful technique will help you discover what makes you happy, but it's kind of twofold because it can help not so great days seem a little better. If you mindfully make note of moments where you felt happiness or joy or even excitement, they're all different levels on the same happiness spectrum. Okay, so the first one, you're just going to observe how often and when. Second, you want to pay attention to what activities cause unhappiness and be mindful of your thoughts surrounding those situations. We've talked a lot about being mindful of your thinking patterns and your thoughts because we know that those elicit feelings. If you experience a lot of stress at work, make a note of it. Say, I experienced stress at 1 p.m. because my boss came in here and gave me a huge stack of paperwork to go through. And the thoughts that I have are, it is unfair, I'm not going to get this done in time, I'm going to have to work late, and that's going to throw off my whole evening. Make a note of all of that because in the future, when you experience unhappiness and you know what thoughts are leading to that unhappiness, you might be able to change your inner state to make those stressful situations hopefully a little less stressful. But for today, just observe. And you might spot patterns. You might spot patterns of things that you can easily eliminate from your life. And that's the best part of this. If you feel stress on and off, on and off, on and off, and you write it down and you notice that is one particular event, one particular thought, and you can easily cut it out, then you can eliminate so much stress. So definitely want to pay attention to that. Unhappy moments and the thoughts that accompany it. And finally, take some time to ponder what makes you happy and ask yourself why. Now, this isn't something you're going to be doing during the day. Hopefully you can just take like 5 or 10 minutes, just sit and center yourself and ponder what makes you happiness, what brings you the most happiness, and why. I gave the example of gardening. It's not necessarily the gardening, but it's being focused and spending time out in nature. So perhaps when it's winter and you can't garden and you're very unhappy because that's your only source of happiness, you can find something else that you can focus your attention on that you enjoy that takes you out in nature. And I don't know off the top of my head something that would be, but with further exploration, I think that you'll be able to come up with various sources and activities that bring you similar happiness. What I'm going to do is write these down in the show notes. So if you can't remember them and maybe you're driving, you didn't have time to write it down or put it in your phone, check out the show notes, and whenever you get to a safe spot, write it down and continue to make note throughout your day. Also, if you have not listened to the meditation from yesterday, make sure to listen to that. We're working on the same meditation. We'll be doing that for one more day, and then we'll switch it up. And just a little sneak peek into tomorrow, we're going to be talking about love. So today's happiness, tomorrow is love. I hope that you notice a pattern that everything we go over so far are high energy, feel good concepts. Because we want to use these mindfulness techniques to make us all feel better, to make us all happier, more at peace, more loving and compassionate towards ourselves, towards other people. I wish you a day full of mindful happiness and love and light, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to Mindful Mondays with Rachel, a mind, body and spirit entrepreneur production. If you enjoyed today's episode, head over to www.mymbse.com for more free resources and trainings. Don't forget to subscribe, rate and give us a review. And join us next week for a brand new meditation and reflection.